Hello, and welcome to Stress Free IEP, the show where we help families build their village to raise their neurodivergent children with confidence and support. I'm your host, Frances Schefter, special education attorney, advocate, and fellow parent, walking this journey with you. Each week, we shine a light on the professionals, resources, and real world strategies that can empower you to navigate the IEP process and beyond without stress. Whether you're tuning in live on Facebook or YouTube or listening later on your favorite podcast app, we're so glad you're here. Let's dive in and meet today's amazing guest. Lauren Gilbert is the VP of Operations at a medical company, but her career began in education. 12 years of teaching and leading as a math coordinator before traveling the country to keynote and train school leaders. Her biggest inspiration, though, comes from her daughter, who is autistic and has ADHD. Wanting to create a story that celebrates neurodiversity, she wrote her debut picture book, Ella and Her Neurosparkly Brain, a rhyming reminder that every brain sparkles in its own unique way. She finished the manuscript while on leave for stage 4 colon cancer treatment, turning a difficult season into a story of hope and joy for families everywhere. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And reading that, I was like, I didn't realize that about the colon cancer. That must be like, I can imagine it must have been a difficult time, but you focused on something good and it worked and all's good. So what gave you the idea? Like, obviously you're, by your daughter, as our children always inspire us to do lots of things, but like, where did Neurosparkly come from?
Oh my gosh, that's actually quite funny. So I wish I could say that I came up with that term, but but the term that's out there as a new mom navigating autism, when you read the catchphrases and all the terminology out there, the word that non-medical term that kept coming up was neurospicy. And I was like, I kind of like it, but I don't love it for a 5-year-old. My kid is not spicy. Right. Well, she can be actually quite spicy.
I was going to say, we hope not.
She's quite spicy. But I just then was in a conversation with just some other mom friends. And one of my friends said, my other friend who has an autistic daughter uses the term neurosparkly. And I said, so I wish I could claim it, but I can't. It came from someone else, but it just stuck with me, and trying to talk to my own daughter about how her brain works a little bit differently. I am not quite ready to release the words autism and ADHD into my 5-year-old's vocabulary. And so, but I want her to understand that it's okay to be different. And so we started using the term neurosparkly in our house. And now she walks around and says her brain is sparkly to everyone she meets.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Because, when my daughter was older, when we got the diagnosis, and I knew like I needed to explain autism to her because where she was. And it's everybody's brain works differently. I wish I had thought of neurosparkly, like I don't even think I had heard neurospicy at that point, but it's we all work differently and that's okay. Yeah. One of the things my daughter loved was that the creator of Pokemon, because she was very into Pokemon cards, but he is on the spectrum. And she's like, oh, my brain works like his. And then she was like, I'm going to go tell everybody at school. I'm like, whoa, wait. Not that you want to hide it, but it's not like we want to go announcing it to all of our kids' friends.
I think that as my daughter gets older, or as any children with autism age, and they can find those people in the community or on TV or wherever, I feel like it validates them a little bit to make them know that, to have them know that the other people are out there that are making a huge difference in the world too, that have brains like them. But my daughter, not quite there yet.
At 5. And that's what I'm saying. She was a lot older, so it was different. But I can't wait to get the book and read it. And I'm sure my daughter's going to love it too. And it probably will become like one of her favorite books that she wants to read to everyone, because she loves reading now, which wasn't always the case.
That's great. I could use some tips on that because my daughter is just starting to read in kindergarten. And she comes home and wants to play teacher all the time and she'll say, oh, I'm going to blend sounds. And I'm like, all right, she's getting it. But then when it comes down to it and I make her try to read words, she's like, yeah, I'd rather go play princesses, living in her own imaginary world. But
I mean, I don't know what level you were in education, but in reality, at kindergarten, they're not
no,
developmentally ready.
right. Yeah.
So it's like, it's go.
Yeah.
She actually, my daughter, she loved graphic novels.
Wow.
Because regular novels were too hard for her. And so she started with graphic novels. And I was like, as long as you're reading, I don't care what you're reading,
Right.
And then she became I think she finally got to the point of where I am. Like, I love reading also, of like how it just takes you away. So yeah, she'll get there, I'm sure. But so you went similar to mine, but you were 12 years. I was only 9 years in education. How did moving into the corporate world, how did that change things? And how did that help you?
That's interesting. I've always had a passion for learning, and I really enjoyed the leadership side. So once I got my master's in school leadership, and then moved, I taught middle school mathematics, and then I moved into that math coordinator position, and I wrote curriculum, and I coached teachers, and I found a ton of joy in that. I love impacting at a bigger level. And don't get me wrong, love the kiddos too. But I always had this thing in the back of my mind, like, I don't know if I can teach all day long and then come home to my children.
Parent.
Right. And I didn't have kids at that point, but I was projecting. But yeah, so I decided that I wanted to move to the corporate world. I was exhausted, as most teachers and educators feel, wiped out. And I just was kind of burned out, but I wanted to still impact, and I wanted to still do learning and development. So that seemed like an easy transition to corporate, to still somehow incorporate my education background and still impact with learning. And so after I traveled the country and did those keynote, that was kind of my transition role, because I was still involved with math curriculum, and I was still working with educators at that point. And then I transitioned out and got my first corporate role, which was a training manager at the company, actually, where I still am. It's been like 8 or 9 years now.
Wow.
But I started as just a training manager, I was a training manager there. And then I just worked, I worked my way up, but I did learning and development. Eventually I was director of learning and development for the whole company. And then I transitioned to operations. So that was another big shift. But the learning and development, I would say that was the most joy I had in the corporate world. I really loved training, not just new skills, but watching them grow over time. They would come in as new employees, and then I would see them in. I had a leadership development program that I ran, and so they would come in and as brand new managers, or brand new, just even they might be on the phones, like just a new employee working for us, and then they would grow, and we always supported growth in our company, and so that was really fun for me, getting to watch people grow over time.
Yeah, it's once a teacher, always a teacher. I always say, it's like, we don't lose it. Like, do I miss the classroom sometimes? Yes, I miss that. But as a whole, no, because it was exhausting. It's hard, even, and I don't think non-teachers don't fully get it. But it's emotional. It's hard. It's takes a lot out of us.
Right.
But as you said, but we're still teaching, just in a different way. So I know, so Ella is your daughter's name, right? That's where it came from.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. And so as a mom, how has it been, and what are you hoping this book will, or telling Ella's story, what are you hoping that families are going to learn from this?
Yeah, absolutely. When she got diagnosed, I really struggled with that. When I was in education, I worked in inclusion classes. I worked in inclusive classes. I had special needs students, that I was working with, but I never anticipated it would be my daughter. And it was a lot. It's every day is a challenge, as you know. But I want people to see the sparkly side of her brain, and how unique it is, and how beautiful it can be. I see so many characteristics in her that are amazing, and she's just the most kind little girl. She just wants to be friends. She's very social. So even though she is autistic, she's low support needs, and she is very, very social. She will talk. We went to Myrtle Beach over the summer, and she talked for the whole entire drive, all 10 hours. I mean,
sounds like my daughter.
Cannot stop. Yeah. But anyway, so getting back to your question, you know, I want others to appreciate all brains. I feel like as educators, we are very responsible for helping kids see that. You know, in classrooms as a teacher, I have the power to impact these students, and you know, I want them to see that if their brain is sparkly, that it's okay that they're different and they bring all of these great qualities to the world, and the world needs those. And then on the other side of it, I want neurotypical families and children and adults too, right? Like I read this myself and I go, it's such a reminder, even as an adult, to, you know, to accept and love all children, all brains. Everyone's different, and that's okay. And that's what makes the world beautiful, is that we all have something different to offer. And so I've been really working to get my book into schools. I think that's where it can be most powerful. So I did my first reading actually the other day at the Malvern School. And the kiddos were great. And I gave out some bookmarks and stickers, and they all came back the next day with like the stickers on their water bottles. It was just a lot of fun. And even at such a young age, I mean, I read the book to 4-year-olds, and, you know, we talked about how brains are different. Just, you know, your friend next to you has a different brain than you, and they bring something different to the table. And even 4-year-olds can grasp that all kids are different, but that we love all children, right? I love all of my friends, even though they're all different. So
no, and I love you say that, because, you know, that's such a big thing in my law firm, is that all brains are different. And I hate like the whole IEP process sometimes. You know, it's what we need though, so it's the only thing we have for now. But like, also the thing is, you know, in my story, I don't know if you know my story as much, but like me growing up, when I was a kid, there wasn't special ed really. I mean, there was special ed for if you were severe, but like mild, there wasn't anything. And I remember I grew up thinking I wasn't smart because I couldn't spell. And, you know, I wound up being on law review. So obviously, you know,
okay.
I think I'm okay there, you know, but like things like that, it's like, you know, and math. I mean, my mother was a bookkeeper. My father was an accounting major, you know, and an entrepreneur. And so numbers were their thing. Well, numbers were, you know, just so not my thing. And so I didn't think I was smart because my brain didn't work the way mom and dad's brain worked. And I struggled with math. You know, surprisingly, I'm halfway decent at it now, but, you know, but it was forced on me, and I had to learn how to make it work for my brain, which is different than everybody else. And that's one of the things that I always try to stress upon, is that we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And, you know, schools, IEPs have to focus on the weaknesses to a point to bring it up. But like, let's look at the strengths and see, okay, so your child is excellent at creating stories. So now let's see if we can adjust learning for creating stories, or, you know,
and build
things
on
like
their
that.
strengths.
Build on the strengths. And then also, I love that you're putting it into this education, because what do IEPs do? IEPs change the child to fit into the environment, right? Let's change the environment to work for our children.
Yeah.
You know?
I have to say, we, you know, I had Ella in a Catholic school to start because they offered full day pre-K, and I thought it, you know, the faith thing was great for her too. And she loves to say her prayers. And anyway, but I ended up moving her out of that environment because I needed her to get services for kindergarten. And so now we're in the public school. And I have to say, like, my experience, I know not everyone has the same experience, has been absolutely incredible. I just had an IEP meeting yesterday, a 30-day review since she started kindergarten, and we adjusted all of her goals, and it was super collaborative, like with the whole team and me at the table. And I think it helps that my background's education, and I've been through plenty of IEP meetings on the other side of the table, but it was wonderful. I mean, they had amazing things to say about my daughter, and I was stressed going in. I was nervous, she does have some behavior challenges, and she's very ADHD, which I think impacts her learning even more than the autism does right now. And we're working on that, but just such a positive experience in the public system. And I know I'm lucky in that way. I don't think that's everywhere, but I hope we get to a point at, where, all teachers are equipped and parents are more equipped, and we're all working towards a common goal. And I will say, I can remember what you were talking about as a kid, that there was a very severe line or a definitive line, right, between like gen ed and the other kids. And that's and I will say now, at least for my daughter, they do such an amazing job. They have an autism program at the school where she goes to. So she's in the gen ed environment the whole day, except for maybe like 20 minutes or so, getting some extra support for her reading and phonics. But it's been great. And I'm so pleased. And I'm really grateful for that, because I came into this with my education experiences, which for the special education side weren't that great. I was nervous putting her in public school, and I was like, I hope they can service her the way I expect.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah, I live it.
But no, I mean, it's been wonderful. So
and it can be. It's mine are usually good with my kids also, but like I've told the story before of my daughter when she was on a speech. I don't want to say just, but she was a speech IEP is how she started before we had the autism diagnosis. And I was noticing some things of like memory recall. And I'm like, I need her to be fully tested. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go this route. And I remember at the IEP meeting, them giving me pushback and giving me the wait and see. And I'm like, so here's the research-based interventions that we've been implementing at our preschool. And they're looking at me like, who are you and what? I'm like, let me fully introduce myself and what I do for a living. And it was like kind of, jaw drops. Okay, so what was it you said you wanted? Which is frustrating, because I shouldn't have to say what I do. I shouldn't have to pull the lawyer card. And the fact that I was an educator and I have my master's in special ed, that shouldn't matter. It should be, I have a concern, let's go look at it. Like, what is the big deal to do the evaluation? Which is part of the reason of my YouTube channel and the show, is to teach parents of like, this is what you can say and this is how you can do it. Because it should be collaborative. Even when you disagree and bring in attorneys, it can still be collaborative. But it's like, if the IEP process works the way it's supposed to work, and the school doesn't predetermine, which, let's be real, the school always predetermines when they're done and they want to move a kid, and we really listen and have a full discussion and like, oh, well, we see this, then it can be collaborative and we can come to what's best for the child. That's the reason the law was written of who attends the IEP meeting. You special ed that knows modifications, general ed that knows curriculum, like all of that. And if each person brings their expertise and we talk, parent knows the child, bring it together, it's collaborative.
Yeah, it was funny because that meeting lasted way longer than was on the calendar for yesterday. And I said, thank them at the end for all of their extra time that they put in, and they didn't rush me. And it was great. But I said to them on the side as I walked out, like, I bet other meetings aren't as long because some parents don't know what to say, or they don't know I think it's the education background that helps me in those situations. But I have to say, going back to the book a little bit, I post a lot on TikTok about autism and my daughter, and I share her story because I want it to make a difference for others. And I don't want to lowball myself here, but I'm just a mom. I'm not an expert. But I get a lot of messages from parents that will say, how did you get an aid for your child? How did you know that? What were the signs that you saw? I get a lot of questions from parents that message me. And I think it's just because I post openly, and they're it shows that because they're reaching out to me, and I'm not necessarily, I think they see I wrote a book and they're like, oh, okay, she knows what she's talking about. But I'm great. You know, I'm more than happy to help them, but I don't always think I'm the best resource. And so I kind of feel like it was a blessing that we crossed paths, because now I can direct them to you. And I know you're based out of Maryland, right? Am I correct in that? Yeah. But still, all of the resources you have are so worthwhile for parents. And so now I actually have a resource that I can direct them to when they come to me, because I don't always know the best. I can give them my parent perspective, but not always, you know, the other side. So,
and that's right. And that's the thing to remember. Yes, I'm based out of Maryland. I'm only licensed in Maryland, DC, and Florida, but I can be an advocate anywhere. It's federal law. So most of my videos, even if I mention Maryland or DC, it applies everywhere because again, it's federal law. And so, you know, there's a couple of tweaks, but states can't, well, at least, well, for now, let's just say that states can't change with where we are right now.
Yeah, right.
States can't make it less stringent than the federal has it. So like if the federal government says it, you know, IDEA says it has to be 60 days, they can say, okay, we'll do it in 45, but they can't say, no, we're going to take 90. And so that's where the overall federal law applies to everyone, because that's what it is. That's why I love having my YouTube channel and I put it out there, because what I say is I wish parents didn't need me. I wish I didn't have a job, because then it would mean parents knew what they're, how to advocate for their children. Schools were listening to parents, and it became about the children, which is why I left education in the first place, because it stopped being about the children. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think like I am such a strong believer of everything happens for a reason. We put it out there. I'm just remembering there was one time I got a message on Facebook from a grandmother saying, thank you so much for the videos. I did what you said to do. And the school finally gave my granddaughter the
well,
IEP.
that's great. Yeah. That's
and
what I always say is like, if I even, if I can impact one person or help one person, it's worthwhile to me, I think. And I have the time now. I mean, I'm not working due to my, cancer. So, and getting treatment. So I'm down for the count for about 50% of my life right now going through treatment, but the other 50% I'm here doing these things. And it's, it has really created such a purpose for me now. And I feel like the education side of mine is coming back around from, where having gone into corporate and now coming back and just stemming from the book, but it's pulling me kind of back into that education mindset and, talking to educators. And it's been really a great opportunity for me too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it never leaves us. It never leaves us. I've been working. And the reason I'm laughing is because I've been working with some parents and we're discussing opening a school, because there's such a large population that public schools don't meet their needs, and special education schools don't either. And there's this population, which my daughter falls in right now. She's doing okay in public school, but that she's high intelligent, but needs the low demands, needs a smaller class size, but she needs the heavier curriculum. And there's not. And so we're talking about, creating a different environment. So like, as you said, the teaching never leaves us. We always get pulled back to the education in some way. I mean, yes, I am.
That's great. If you ever open that school, let me know. I would love to come visit. I'll do a book reading.
We definitely, we will. It's going to open. Like we're
awesome.
Motivated and stuff. But it's just,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're still in the beginning stages, but I saw the need, and I see the need every day with my clients. And it was just, this is, where the universe, God wants me to go right now. This is where I'm supposed to be, like, yes, I still have my law firm and I will always represent families, but, right now we're pulling a little bit this way and see where we go. So yeah, I mean, the teaching never leaves us. It's always there. And that's why I also love doing this show and doing my, I do presentations often, because I love teaching other people like, hey, this is what you can do. This is what you can say. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes bringing an attorney in to get what you want, but the goal is to not, and to teach our kids, that we can do it. And so I know you said you're not working, but you're so far good, healthy,
Wish I could say that. So I have stage 4 colon cancer. It is a rare and aggressive type of colon cancer. And I am going through my first line treatment. Unfortunately, stopped responding, and I had some spread and some new tumors that popped up. So right now I am in second line treatment, and I gotta just make it through 4 rounds to show that it's working in order to get surgery. So that's the goal, is getting surgery to remove the cancer. But unfortunately, there are some surgeons that won't do the surgery on me because it's too far spread. So I went up to Robert Wood Johnson in North Jersey to see a more adventurous surgeon. And the hope is that I met with him, and after 4 rounds of FOLFIRI, which is the type of chemo I'm on now, we'll do a scan. And if it either has maintained, because it's so aggressive, it just has been growing so fast. So if we can just even maintain it, not even shrink it, just have kept it where it is and not grow, they'll do surgery on me. So that's the hope, that I can get some surgery. But I'm just, I believe, like we just said, things happen for a reason. And not that I want to
no, but
answer but right. There's been a ton of blessings that have come out of it. The book is just the start. I have met some amazing people. I've been doing podcasts. I have met amazing people through that. I've been in schools, and but it's the biggest blessing is that it's given me time with my kids. I was a workhorse. I was a workaholic. I would work all day, back-to-back meetings. Then I'd, take care of my kids in the evening, get them down, get right back on the computer, continue working. I have my team is all over the country. So, I
was gonna say, no idea what that's like.
That's a lot. And so, truly, I don't think that would have stopped. I mean, I kept saying it for years. I was saying it, like, I'm doing too much. I need to pull back. I need to take care of myself, my mental health, like everything. I mean, I wasn't. And so this, this disease, unfortunately, it's not great, but there are some, perks, and it's probably the only thing that would have stopped me from working the way I was. And so it stopped me. Full stop. I am now fully not working. I'm on leave, and I've just been using the time, like I said, to find purpose in my life more than I was before. And I really feel like it's kind of been meant to be. And it's a little kind of morbid to say that, but
God willing, it'll be on the positive, like we can't say anything yet. You never know. Stranger things, it's all good. But I say that, we don't necessarily want to be concert, but it was time for you to stop and for you to share your daughter's story with the rest and create your legacy. Like, you now have something that's going to be continuing. Yeah. So any other books on the horizon?
So, so I have a son he's about to turn 4, and he said, "Mommy, like, when am I going to get my own book?" And
of course,
and I was like, "Oh, actually, you're right." Like, second child. I'm like, "Oh." So I wrote a book called Lumi the Lion and the Jungle Ball Giants. And it's completely different than Ella's book. It is about, being a good sport and being a good team player and teaching others how to be kind. And in the book, the little lion is playing baseball with his jungle friends, and they're losing all the games because they're all trying to be the superstar and outdo each other. And, and in this story, really, the lion just reminds me of my son. He's, I wrote it obviously intentionally that way, but he's a quiet little lion. Austin's not so quiet. He competes with Ella now for loud attention, but just this sincere little lion. My son is a very special boy. And so in the story, I have him, and then I have lots of jungle characters, but one of them is a sloth who reminds me of my daughter. And in this story, in real life, they played on the same t-ball team, and my daughter could never get the ball, and Austin always could get the ball. He's a little athlete, and he fielded the ball and took it over to Ella and said, "Here, Ella, you throw it to first." And I did not prompt. That's how I knew I did something right as a mom. I'm like, right? It's so sweet. Anyway, so in the story that happens in the book, I wrote that into the story. And so I'm excited for that book to come out. Right now we're doing illustrations for that. And then I'm going to go back to the Neurosparkly series. So my hope is with this book, case nobody caught on yet, it's Ella and Her Neurosparkly Brain. And so what I would love to do is Ella's Neurosparkly Day at the movies, or Ella's Neurosparkly Day at the carnival, or the dentist, or any place where a neurodivergent child would feel anxiety or stress, or, so for example, like we went to Ocean City, New Jersey, and went on the rides this summer. And Ella, while I took a ton of pictures and she looked super happy on the rides, behind the scenes, we had some moments where she had a couple of meltdowns, was really nervous, would hold her ears because of the loudness. And, I would love to incorporate some of those things into the books, and then strategies built into the book, so that even when parents are reading it, they could say, oh, well, let me try this with my child. Maybe I could always try something like that out. So my goal is to put Ella into these environments where she would be challenged, and then navigate through that in the book. So
I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back to the series.
And that's awesome. I was going to say, it's endless.
It is.
It's endless, because I'm thinking like flying on an airplane.
Oh yeah.
Mines, right? Going on a long car ride, like all the things.
There's plenty of, Ella's trip to wherever we could do the car ride. Yeah. There's just a lot of possibilities. And, I think while I started the book, really, I think it was a result of me processing. That was just my way to heal, I think, when I was navigating the diagnosis and feeling the feelings. And I was watching her socially really struggle. And that really broke my heart as a mom. And I was like, man, I just want to help her navigate this. And the book itself doesn't actually name the word autism anywhere in it. There are books out there like that, and I love and respect them. I think there's definitely a place for that. I didn't want to do that. The tagline at the top of the book says, "For every child who has ever felt a little different, you are more magical than you know." And I think every single person has had an experience in their life, whether they were a kid or an adult, where they felt alienated, or they felt picked on or bullied, or just too different from the others. And that's the message. I wanted that message to go to the entire population of people who have ever felt that way, and that's adults too. I mean, I had bullying happen to me in middle school, and I could see myself in Ella, watching her in kindergarten struggle socially. And I identified with it, and I was like, wow. And so that's what brought me to the book to start. And
it's so true, because I love that you did it purposely that way, because if it was autism, there are so many neurodiverse families that have probably had similar experiences, but don't have the diagnosis or don't know, and they wouldn't even think about looking at the book.
Right.
And there's so much overlap with diagnosis.
Yes. Yeah. And in the back of the book, there's here's the very last page is just like so adorable with her.
That is so cute.
It makes you special because you're you. But anyway, in the back, there's a little letter from Ella to the reader. And in that letter, although she doesn't say she has autism in real life in the book, she does. I wrote it from her perspective. So it does say, I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And then it invites the reader or the parent to follow her on Instagram at Neurosparkly Ella. So I have my own, like Lauren Gilbert. I have my personal Instagram account. Then I have Lauren Gilbert Books, which really talks about my books in general, and what activities I'm up to related to the book. But Neurosparkly Ella, I created as a way to, similar to the books that we just talked about, like I post pictures of her where she's doing some adventurous things, or she's in different environments. And for example, like we went to a farm and she rode a horse, and she loves horses. She's ridden them before. But she has repeated anxiety over things that she's done a million times. It just continues. And so in the picture, she looks very happy. She's up on the horse, really smiley. But, behind the scenes, there was a little bit of a meltdown. She had cried. We had to basically convince her. And I knew once she got up on the horse, she'd be happy. But there was a lot of struggle before that. And so on that account, that Instagram account at Neurosparkly Ella, I put the pictures, but then the caption is always about, what happened before the picture, or what happened behind the scenes and what it really looked like. So my hope is that parents will follow the account, and then that helps educate them a little bit about, what signs we're seeing with Ella and how we help her cope. So.
Yeah, I love that. And we will definitely have the link in the show notes below when we do this, because of course, as soon as we get off, I'm going to go like, okay, I need to follow. Not that I have time for social media that often, but, every now and then I'll have a couple minutes and then I'm like, oh, I got to share this. But no, it's like, it's so, like, I love your story.
Thank you.
And I love that you're turning it into a way to help others, and just, it's so, we met for a reason, because where are you out of?
So I'm in Collegeville, Pennsylvania, but I think the way we connected was because I taught in Maryland. All my teaching was in Maryland. And so I think you were in a group where someone else I knew, and somehow that's how the connection happened.
Oh, that's right. Somebody, I think it was another guest. Yeah, I think it was another guest on my show that, because I'm like thinking that our daughters would probably get along great. Although mine's 11, she loves younger kids, and
and Ella loves older kids, so it would be perfect.
Exactly. Yeah, no, she loves to talk. But it's just so, I love. It's hard as a parent, even for those of us that have the education background and know a little bit about what we're doing. It's still hard when we get that diagnosis, And, for me, Hannah was 9. And, I saw some signs, but what were we taught about autism is that, if not for the age of 3, if they're social or making eye contact, then they're not. And my daughter is very social, very has conversations with everybody and anybody. You should see this child selling cookies at Girl Scout season, like she's just, out there crazy. And awesome. So I saw there were okay, maybe there are signs, but not that I said not my daughter, never my daughter, but it was just, I didn't know what it was, and it wasn't until I had a client that his daughter had PDA, autism with a PDA profile, pathological demand avoidance, that came and said, and so I was reading up on it, of course, because I'm like, I haven't heard of this. And I'm reading it and I went, oh my God, this is my child.
Wow.
And so it's like putting out these books and putting out these things for parents, because especially new parents, you don't know, is this normal? Is this not normal? Is it behavior? Is it not behavioral? And so you putting out your story in the books helps new parents. Okay, so maybe there is something that is different, and it's not wrong. And I hate the word disability, and it's not, something wrong. It's just the brain works differently. And let's figure out how the brain works so that we can help our children be the best they can be.
Absolutely. It's sad how many families are out there that either just don't know enough about it to recognize that maybe there's a challenge with their child, or they are in denial of it and they don't want to accept it. And I really believe that the reason Ella will thrive is because I was aware, I paid attention, and I took action fast, because I knew that earlier the intervention, the better chance she has of being successful. And I just want all parents to know that if their child is different, it's okay. Their brain works different, and we can find ways to support that child in a way that they can grow and have a great life and be productive. And I just, it makes me sad when I see families that don't know how to support their child, and it's not their fault. They just don't have the resources, if they're not aware. And so, I'm just very happy that, because even I, as an educator with that background, just like you, probably, you second guess, you're like, well, it's your own kid. And so early on, I was seeing even at 2 years old, I was like, something's just not sitting right. I just kind of feel that there's something different, but I just kept second guessing, because she was lining things up, but it wasn't by color or size. It was just lining them up, and she'd line them up differently every time. And I'm like, well, then maybe not. And then she had vision
because we know too much.
Right. There's, and then the social, thing. And I had people tell me straight up, there's no way your child is autistic. There's no way. Oh, and she's making eye contact, so she can't be autistic. And I just had to stick with my gut. And I went, I went to the intermediate unit, which is the early intervention in our county. And I was right. And then we got after that, we went to the medical route and we got the medical diagnosis as well. But just, Yeah. I feel like parents just need to listen to their gut and then advocate.
I say that all the time because
it's your gut and advocate for your child.
Yeah. It's like, we see it and I do that all the time. It's like, is it because I know too much about this that I'm seeing something that's not there? Is it truly this? Is it,
Right.
and we do that as moms, as dads, as parents in general, we do that to ourselves all the time. And I say always, if something doesn't feel right, trust that gut. There's something.
Absolutely.
And if somebody, I have a video, The Chef Away, which is my dad. It's like, and if somebody tells you no, but you still feel it's wrong, keep going. Find somebody else. Go to the next level. Go to, because my dad was like, okay, so you can't do it, so let's go above you and who can, and find, not that like my kid is, not that you say my kid is something and let's find a doctor that'll say that, but like,
right.
If you're not getting an answer that truly answers that whatever it is tugging at you, then go find the answer,
Yeah. We actually had, this is kind of a little bit off topic, but it speaks to what you were just saying is when we went to get a medical diagnosis, the very first doctor we met with, it just didn't feel right. Something didn't feel right to me. And the paperwork, the full report after she had the CARS assessment done and all of the, testing for autism, in the report we got back, it like didn't quite line up to what the doctor told me verbally. And I just didn't feel right about it. And I was like, I really hate to be this mom, but I'm going to go above her. And I felt, I'm not a doctor, I felt kind of weird about that. Like I'm just a mom and this person has much more education than I do about this topic, but it just something wasn't sitting right with me. And I ended up meeting with the CMO. Coincidentally, that's who called me back after I had put in I just wanted to talk through it. And, and the CMO came back and said, no, you're right. This, what she said doesn't align with what's in the report, and I'm going to reassess your child. And we did. And now I feel super confident because we had the right person in the room with my daughter. And so that's even a thing, right? Parents don't even not necessarily even know who is the best person to, but I think you just, again, advocate, ask questions until you get the answers you need. Exactly. Even if you don't like the answers, but
and trust the gut, like it's yes, that's a medical professional. Yes, it's a, whatever person, it's a teacher, it's a, we can trust them to an extent, but if something doesn't feel right, it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I could talk to you all day. I'm sure we could. So I'm like, all right, we got to get together sometime. We'll figure out how to make it. Meet Hershey Park or something.
Great.
So no, Lauren, thank you so much for coming and being so open with everyone about your story and about Ella's story. And I'm spacing on his name, but I remember the lion, your son's story.
Oh, Louis the lion. Oh, Austin.
Yeah. And then, I look forward to reading the book and many, many, many more books. And we wish you good health and prayers.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This was great. It was fun.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us on this episode of Stress Free IEP. We hope today's conversation gave you new tools, insights, or just a little more peace of mind as you support your neurodivergent child. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone in your village. You can always learn more about me and connect with me at schefterlaw.com or follow along on social media. Until next time, remember, you do not have to do it all alone.